We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM and WSBC 1240 AM. Now, Paul, I was at your house Tuesday. We had a nice little watch party for the debut of none other than Noah Schultz, and I was fortunate enough to find this man. Not only is he the coach of the Pistol Shrimp, he was the coach of none other than Noah Schultz. He's Coach John Jakiemiec. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So, John, I have to ask the first question. What was it like seeing a guy that you knew when he was still, a wee little prospect, still making it in there? And you were also at the game, and now he's starting in the big leagues. What was going through your mind as a coach? Do you feel like a proud papa, a proud coach, or is this just another day for you?
No, actually, it's a watershed moment for our organization and for me as a coach. He didn't, he obviously came to us as a known entity in terms of being on the radar. But the story of how we found him, or actually how we got to us, is actually an interesting one because his agent is Scott Boras, and the Boras agency in the fall had said he was committed to Vanderbilt the fall of his senior year. And Noah's pitching coach is my longtime friend and Pistol Shrimp pitching coach, Mark Sheehan. Mark's worked with Noah since Noah's 12. Mark had let me know in the fall, zero chance we're getting Noah. They've already got a market for him. We're not gonna be able to have him on the roster. I get it. Well, fast forward to his high school season, his first start of the year, early March, a million scouts in attendance. He throws fine. He throws just 2 or 3 innings, does the job. The next day, finds out he has mono. So they shut him down. He doesn't throw after his first outing his senior year in high school. So what happened from there is the major league clubs, contacted the agent and said, "Hey, he's going to fall off a draft board. We're not going to. It's a risk for us to take a high school kid out of the first round pick who's not throwing in high school his senior year. What's going on?" So that's what led. So the agency called my pitching coach, Mark, and I'll never forget that call. And when Mark called me and said, "I got an early Christmas present for you. No one needs to throw this summer. So he's going to come throw for us." So obviously that was a good day for me. And it worked out well, obviously, for Noah as well, because he put up phenomenal numbers in his 6 starts with us and kind of validated what various mock draft boards had him slotted at. So it was super exciting. And I remember, from his first outing and the excitement from the people in the Illinois Valley area. We were playing the Clinton Lumber Kings, and my buddy Jack Dom was the manager, and Jack is he was the coach at Iowa. He was the coach at Creighton. Jack's a dude in college baseball, but their bus arrives, and we're the home team. We're finishing batting practice. Jack comes up to say hi, and Jack says, "John, you must be throwing a dude today, because I'm seeing guys I haven't seen in years," with a big smile on his face because all these scouts had showed up. And then I smiled and said, "I think I'm throwing a dude today. I think you're going to like it." So it was good from the start.
What kind of attraction was he for the fans to come out and see the Pistol Shrimp for those 6 starts?
It was huge. I mean, it was huge. And I would fast forward to for those who were able to go to the game on Tuesday, ton of Schultz White Sox jerseys, which is great to see. I was personally blown away because I knew, my front office staff, my coaches were going to be there. But the number of people wearing Pistol Shrimp gear from the Illinois Valley that came, and they're hovering above the bullpen area watching them warm up, and it's a little much, but they love the guy, and they love him for a lot of reasons. But the honestly, the one that sticks out is he connects with young fans. And when he would finish his starts for the Pistol Shrimp, we would always start him, throw his prescribed number of pitches, get him out of there. He always stuck around. He stayed in uniform. He stuck around to the end of the game. He never just said, "Hey, I'm going to go and move on." Stayed to the end of the game and signed every autograph for the kids and the fans. So he's a young person who understood the spotlight shining on him, and there's a responsibility that comes with that. and he embraced it. I mean, it's just who he is as a person. Very thankful for the opportunity and super excited that 1,000 people are coming out to watch him throw. So he was endeared from the start from the fans. But what I'll also tell you is he's a high school kid who's so we're in a college league, so we've got a lot of college sophomores, juniors, and guys have been playing D1 baseball. So there's a little bit of a litmus test on who the guy is. And he won those guys over immediately. There was no showboating, nothing special about me. He was as much a fan of his teammates as he was for the 12-year-old kids asking him for his autograph.
Now, John, you've been working with. You have a question, Paul?
Go ahead, Dev.
So you've been working with Noah Schultz for the brief time. You saw how he was with the fans, always with the clubhouse. What sort of characteristics and attributes on the field and off the field do you think that really shine that made the White Sox be like, we want to bring this guy into our organization?
Well, he had during his summer prior, so in his earlier years in high school, he was already identified by JJ Lally, who's the area scout for the White Sox, and now actually JJ is a cross-checker for the White Sox. And he was throwing on the White Sox scout team in the area. So, and my pitching coach, Mark Sheen, and JJ are friends, and they had, Mark had reached out to him and said, here's someone you should look at putting on your team. So the White Sox have been watching him, had been watching Noah for a while, and as had other teams. But that's one, that they had, he didn't surprise people because when, you throw 95 plus in high school, the White Sox obviously aren't the only team that's going to have an area scout that's going to be aware of that. So, but that's, so the White Sox actually had an early peek on him, and JJ Lally got to see him throw quite a bit.
Is there a lot of pressure when you're kind of, nurturing a prospect like that? I mean, especially at a time in his career when he doesn't really pitch for his high school anymore. He's probably gearing up for Vanderbilt, but at the same time, he's this prospect that's slotted to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Who are you taking advice from, or what sort of plan are you putting in for him at this point, like to make sure that his pitch counts are correct, or who's eyeballing your coaching plan at this point aside from him, as far as people in his camp?
Yeah, that's a great question. The league we play in is literally called the Prospect League for that reason. It's about showcasing prospects, future stars. So in that sense, it really is about development, although everyone likes to win and all that. But to your point, that conversation was a conversation between myself, Mark Sheen, his pitching coach, who's known Noah since he was 12, and his agency, the Boris agency, to make sure that everyone was on the same page. And their request was they wanted to have as controlled an environment that they could. So they said, we'd rather have them start all home games instead of putting them in different environments. So that was a request from the agent. Which was fine because, again, as a business owner, do I really want to take him on the road and put, a big gate on someone else's field when we can do it at ours? So we're all on the same page with that piece of it. But it was, if you think about it, it's a controlled environment, super excited fan base, the same mound, the same, all of that stuff is the same. So you remove as many variables as you can to performance for them. And including pitch counts. And again, because he's coming off of mono, he had to be built up. So it was never the idea that we're going to develop, he's going to end up throwing 85, 90 pitches just because he had not built up from his coming off of mono in high school. So that was a really good conversation between all parties involved on how many pitches and what the time frame was. So literally, once we got him, Mark and I were able to lay out a schedule, and the Boris agent was able to say, that's perfect. Every one of those days, perfect. They always had someone there to watch them. And obviously there's a ton of scouts there as well, but there was a lot of discussion on how we want to organize that. So that's a good question, but that was all scripted in the sense of, we know the days he's going to throw a month and a half. We have it scheduled out. We know what the pitch count is going to be roughly, depending on how we felt in a given day. And his side pens were always thrown under Mark's supervision, so everything was as ideal as you could have it. And the other thing that we were fortunate, we never had a rain out, so there's never any hiccups, anything like that can sometimes happen with that stuff.
Now, John, we saw Noah Schultz. It wasn't the best start, but it wasn't the worst start. But one thing that I heard from a guy who won a Cy Young, Steve Stoney, aka Steve Stone, the White Sox commentator, he said Noah Schultz is reminding him a lot of Randy Johnson when he first started in the MLB here. And we're seeing a lot of that, a guy who throws hard. So my question is, what's your prediction for Noah Schultz's career? Do you see him being the next Randy Johnson, a next great pitcher? What do you see based on what you had with your team and what you saw on Tuesday?
Yeah, I understand the comp with Randy Johnson, left side, tall and a little arm slotted. That's an obvious. Even a casual fan of baseball would say he kind of reminds me of a Randy Johnson, maybe a little bit of Chris Sale. Uh, but I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be Noah Schultz and not Randy Johnson light. Um, and Randy Johnson ended up obviously having a Hall of Fame career. But if you look at Randy Johnson, there was a point in his career where he really struggled with command and wasn't sure he was going to stick around. So there's never any guarantees, because it wasn't like Randy Johnson came out as Hall of Famer Randy Johnson, certainly his first few years, but obviously developed into that. So a lot goes into that. Are you able to stay healthy, so forth? I think Noah's, I know they think he's only going to be there temporarily till somebody's hip, comes back on. But my gut tells me he's going to stick. I've seen enough of the reactions from his teammates that he was there with him in spring training. They know his stuff plays at that level. I haven't talked specifically with Noah about his outing. I talked with him a little bit the day after, but I never go into outings and that kind of stuff. But I know he was, if you push him to shove, he was a little disappointed that he didn't do a little bit better in terms of command. He usually doesn't walk that many guys, but it's also he's a 22-year-old kid making his first start with a whole lot of expectations. So that's part of it. I thought it was the most important day for me was getting him through day one or to start one. And I thought at the end of the day, I would have kept him in a little bit. I would have tried to get him through the fifth. He struck a guy out, and I know they're on a pitch count. But to answer your question, it doesn't sink or swim on how you do on any one given day. So I think they're going to give him a little bit of a run here. And I'm actually very fortunate. I live in Northern California, and Noah had told me he's slotted to throw on Sunday against the A's in Sacramento. So I'm actually going to be able to see him if they don't push that start. I'm really excited to show him the Pistol Shrimp fan base from the West Coast going and catching start number 2. But and frankly, my gut tells me he's going to be a lot better in start number 2. He's got the first start under his belt, has a sense that he can play at this level, and I think his best days are ahead of him.
You had to be happy with the start on Tuesday, though, after he settled down in the first inning, looked really good, got the big strikeout to end the first. Like you were saying, he was on the pitch count. Do you think it was nerves at the beginning of that, especially playing at, in Chicago, close to, I'd imagine a lot of family, a lot of fans that were there to see him. Do you think it was that at the beginning that was kind of getting to him early with those walks?
Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit. I think with the second walk, I think that kind of sped him up a little bit, would be from my observation of it. And honestly, the hit he gave up there was on a 2-strike pitch, off-speed pitch that hung a little bit. And that's baseball. That's going to happen. And if you flip the script, the White Sox had the exact same bottom of the first guy out, next 2 guys get on via walk, exact same situation, but they're able to get out of it, right? It's baseball, round ball, round bat, it's going to happen. So one hit, and then you're looking, he probably gets a little bit longer run, settles down. But that's just, that's the game. I mean, they're looking at, and I think for him, he just kind of got sped up with that second walk. But he took the bit in his mouth, and I thought, like you said, I thought he settled down really well. And I get why Venable's taking him out there. Finish on a high note. You got a punchy. You're at 80 pitches. Let's keep it right here. I understand that part of it from a management standpoint. So yeah, I just I get it. He's a local kid, number one draft pick, a ton of expectations. You got to get through that. You just got to get through that. And he's not getting buried. He got through it. He's going to be just fine. This is we'll be having this conversation in his 5-year length of service, 10-year length of service. He's got one of those arms that I think is durable, and if he stays healthy, he's going to be fine. What he didn't throw really that I saw on Tuesday was his changeup, and I think he's got a great changeup. Although and I get it, they threw the Rays threw a bunch of righties in against him, so he commands a lot of pitches. He's a lot better with his cutter, so now he's going to be just fine. Do not lose sleep over Noah Schultz's first outing. I promise you.
He's John Jakiemiec, the head coach of the Pistol Shrimp and the former coach of Noah Schultz. John, I want to switch a little bit from Noah Schultz onto the Pistol Shrimp themselves here, because it looks like you've been the head coach since their formation. If my notes are correct, you're also part owner of the team. How exactly did you go from coaching all these other leagues like in the NCAA and such to finding yourself in the prospect league as an owner and a coach?
Well, first of all, you do it because you're a baseball junkie, and I've been a baseball coach my whole life. When I had the opportunity to start the club, my pitching coach and I said, we're working with a lot of high school and college guys. This is kind of a nice extension of that, to be able to play a summer ball season. So that's kind of what got me into it originally. And I won't be the Jackie Moon owner manager forever, but what I will tell you is I really enjoy coaching college guys that are finding their way in the game. The summer ball season's super interesting because when you go and play for your college, that coach is his income is based on his 1-loss record at the end of the day. So a lot of these players that come to a place like the Prospect League, it's coaches sending us guys that they've recruited who didn't necessarily get a lot of time this spring, but they need them to be dudes next year. So they need to get them into a competitive league, getting as many at-bats or innings or whatever it might be that they can, so they show up ready to contribute next year. So for me, it's been a ton of fun because you get a bunch of guys, college guys that have not necessarily played a ton, but that still love baseball, want to play a ton. Our league allows graduated high school players as well that have a commitment to a college. In this year's roster, I've actually got a fair number of high school guys from Illinois, just the way it worked out, because the coaches, my labor supply, our college head coaches, they're the ones who send their players off to these summer ball leagues. And not everybody gets to go to the Cape Cod League. There's only so many spots available. So our league is clearly one of the top 4 summer ball leagues in the country, based on the number of kids will get drafted out of it and so forth. But I love it just because you got people that want to win, want to get better. And what's fun about summer ball is you have a bunch of guys that are coming from different programs. It doesn't matter if it's D3, JUCO, D1. They're all coming together for a summer, and we play literally every day except Monday. So they're going through the grind of what a minor league baseball player would have to go through, but they're also learning from one another. How does the University of Illinois do it versus, Illinois State or Penn State, wherever they're coming from? So it's fun for me to watch the players interact and help each other get better. That's been an awesome part of it. It's fun for me to watch high school kids. The high school kids come from being the dude on the high school team to all of a sudden I'm not the dude. And how do I swim in that pool? But no, it's great. We've got, I know, on this year's roster, just off the top of my head, Anthony Chavez and Joey Ireland from Mount Carmel High School are on their way to Illinois. They'll be with us this summer. AJ Putty from Illinois, who's having a great freshman season for the University of Illinois. He'll be with us. Uh, Ronan Owens from Lane Tech on his way to UMass Amherst as a pitcher. And a couple of guys from down by Peoria, Ryan Duncan and Caden Shasik on the way to Illinois State as pitchers. All guys that are ranked highly in the state of Illinois. So I know we'll get a lot of fan interest just from having guys that have done well at the high school level making the leap into college baseball.
The season's got to be starting up soon for you guys here, right? Just in like the next month or so.
Yeah, so we start up literally the day after Memorial Weekend, May 26th, I think is that date. And part of it is the most of the college conferences, or at least the D1s, end on that Memorial Weekend. So we kind of wait till that's done for those players to report, and some of them will be onto a regional, so they'll be a couple weeks out before the report. But yeah, at this point, the roster is done, and it's exciting for me because we're just following to see how our guys are doing and make sure we have enough host families and all that fun stuff that goes along with summer ball.
John, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. We got a lot going on. Obviously got a lot going on with the season starting. My final question for you is going to be this. Any of our listeners that are going to think about going, that are going to be, any of our listeners that are going to be going to a Pistol Shrimp game this season, what can they expect?
Great question, and thank you. I'm gonna give a plug to my general manager, June Keeley, who makes this all happen. So number one, because of our partnership with the city of Peru where we play, we do not charge ticket prices. So our games are free. So you want to talk about fun, family, affordable entertainment? Come to a Pistol Shrimp game. You can bring a lawn chair. You can sit in a fold out. We got stands. The first and foremost is it's not a budget buster. Secondly, the quality of baseball that you will see on the field is really good. It's the bulk of our players in our league, 70% come from D1. So they're high level players that are playing. And then the atmosphere, we bring in different food trucks and different theme nights. So it's a really fun, festive atmosphere for fans. And we haven't had any, at least as far as since I've been there. We're not getting the emails on something bad happened to me or I had a bad engagement. So we work really hard on making sure the fan experience is coupled with a really quality on-field experience from the play. And our area, the Illinois Valley, is a baseball savvy area. And I didn't know this when I first came here. I'm from Michigan originally. And when I was first in the Illinois Valley in that area, what I quickly found out was that area it's kind of the line of demarcation between Cub fans, Cardinal fans, and then you got this really good sized pocket of White Sox fans. There's an active White Sox alumni fan club in the area. So you have people that are really knowledgeable about baseball. So they come to our games. The bulk of our fans come to our games. They know what time it is on strategy, on how the game is being played. So I was very impressed with the knowledge of the everyday baseball fan that comes to our game. So that's so you get an area like that. So it's a pretty cool experience.
John Jakiemiec, the head coach of the Pistol Shrimp and the former head coach of Noah Schultz. John, if any of our listeners want to find out more about you or the Pistol Shrimp, where can they go?
Yeah, the easiest thing, just go to pistolshrimpbaseball.com. You'll see our email contact information there. Our social media links are there as well. So we love to engage with the fans any way we can and get the support going both ways.
He's John Jakiemiec, guys. And keep it locked to the Sports Cubicle. We got a lot more coming up after this.